A lot of people can't even fathom like a 9-year-old being in juvenile hall. What do you remember what it was kind of like?
Yeah, I could say that the shoes didn't fit me, the pants didn't fit me.
All right, for sure, man. Where should we even start, bro? I mean, you were born in Del Paso Heights, right?
Yeah, I was born in El Paso Heights.
Dude, for all the people here, like, tell us about Del Paso Heights just growing up.
Like for me, my whole family it was born and raised here. As far as like on my mom's side of the family, like I went to Fairbanks, I went to Martin Luther King, but for me, fortunately, I lived all over Sacramento. But the Heights is where I came from. So growing up in the Heights, I mean, it was one of them things where you don't realize how bad it is when you're in it. Like when you're in it, you don't know. And then when you step outside and you look back, you like, damn, I grew up there. Like my hood is wow.
The war stories.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good people in this neighborhood. Like one thing that's different about Del Paso Heights from a lot of communities, period, is that there's people from all walks of life. Like you have your drug dealers, you have your gang bangers, but you also have your pillars in the community that care. Like they feel like they're the heartbeat of the community, and that's what's needed. That's what's needed to make a change in this community and grow. So growing up for me, I mean, I had a typical childhood, but I was locked up at young ages and stuff. So I can't really say what it was like growing up. I just know where it led me to.
Yeah. Now, talk about this dynamic because I know that your father is like a huge pillar in the community now, and bro, so big that they got people calling you Lil Kurt compared to him.
Yeah, my daddy is a rock star, and everybody knows my dad. Like my dad is so much of a rock star. If you're not from Del Paso Heights, if you don't know him,
Yeah.
he used to open the gyms like Grant West gyms. He used to open the gym for the kids back in the days, and then he went to the Robinson Center, and now he's at Hagenwood Community Center, and he gives back to the kids. He's been doing that for as long as I can remember.
Damn, even when you were a little kid?
Even when I was a little kid, my dad went from going to Grant to being like a hall monitor to a landscaper where he used to cut all the grasses for every school in Grant School District. I think it's got a new name now, but back in the
Mhm.
days it was called Grant Unified School District.
That's great. That's back in the day. It's probably damn, it's probably like Sacramento Unified now or something like that.
Yeah, they all got different names now.
I know. But how was that like growing up with your dad being such a pillar in the community? Because I know for me, my dad was like a mechanic. He was one of those dudes that spent 23 hours a day on working with his hands. Like, how was that just being a kid and having your dad be like that?
My daddy is like a rock star, like I said, like walking around, just like say we go to a Grant football game,
Yeah.
and I go with my dad. My dad has it, by the time we get to where we gonna sit, he didn't have to stop and say hi to at least like 20, 30 people because everybody, like I said, my dad probably raised them, their kids, and their grandkids, and some cases great grandkids because he's been around that long.
He only sees 3 quarters of the football game because the first quarter everybody's dapping him up.
Everybody, shoot, my dad be sitting on the other side, quiet as kept. He'll sit on the other side so he can get some space and clarity.
Yeah, that's funny. But let's talk about when you were growing up a little bit more. How like when I was listening to that Jay Williams podcast, when you're saying you were like incarcerated at such a young age. Like for me,
Yeah.
I grew up in the Bay, so I'm like away from all of this stuff. But can you give a little bit of insight growing up a little bit more in Del Paso Heights?
Like I said earlier, like I grew up in Del Paso Heights to a certain age, to like 12 years old. So you could say like I moved all over Sacramento. So I know you guys want specifically Del Paso Heights, but I'm really like if you look at my YouTube handle, it says Dirty Weather 916,
So you're all
meaning
over.
like meaning all over. Just Del
Yeah.
Paso Heights is where I started, and I never forgot where I was from. So I think we would be shortchanging just only speaking on that. But in
Yeah.
general, like for me, growing up in Sacramento is really
Yeah,
the issue.
let's just talk about everything that happened after that, man.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, like, I got locked up, and when I got locked up at 9 years old, I actually lived in Meadowview.
Damn, so that's South Sacramento.
Yeah, so I live, like, to me, somebody like me, Sacramento is very small,
Mm-hmm.
very small because of playing sports. If you if you constantly get incarcerated, then you meet people from all over. Then my mother, she moved a lot, but my home base has always been Del Paso Heights. So when you say growing up in Del Paso Heights, like I have had, like when I was young, well, actually, so let's get to the meat and potatoes. What you trying to get me to? All right,
Bro,
man.
you should write a
Cause I
book
know
one of these days because we could go like for hours on this, man.
I already know, and we ain't even tasted the fudge on the top of the cake yet.
Hey, let's get to the
Hey,
meat and potatoes first.
okay, so I grew up. So when I was born, I was born in Del Paso Heights, and we lived. The first place I can remember living was the Plazas right here,
Mm.
which is like, it's, that's funny, but it's about 500 yards from where I'm at now. Like
Damn.
that's where I was born, right up there. And then from there, we lived in the Manors on Ford Road. And then from there, like I went to Fairbanks Elementary. And then from
Mm.
there, we went to the South area. My mother moved us to the South area. Going from the north to the south.
Yeah.
At a young age, like it really was just part of going where mama say go. Cause that's
Mm.
when you low income, you gotta go where you gotta go where mama say go
Yeah.
when you low income. So going from the north to the south, it wasn't that big of a transition because I'm young. Now that I was in the South area all the way from the first grade to the fifth grade. And then from there, I came back to Del Paso Heights and went to Smythe Elementary over in Northgate. And I went to
Dang.
Martin Luther King Junior High, and which is smack dab in Del Paso Heights, that's when everything changed. Like that's when I figured out who I was, where I'm from, and what it means to be where I'm from. And that was in junior high. And
Damn,
then
so like
from
you came
there,
back from the South area and then you kind of figured out like what you were gonna do.
yeah, I figured out like things that the average kid goes through at my age is very different. Like I'm already coast to or city to city to city with it, and I'm barely out of elementary, and I done been to like five, seven. Actually, I done been to about like eight
Damn.
different schools because what I skipped over is that I was in group homes and stuff too, and that's what's wrong with a lot of people, a lot of youngsters that need somebody to step into their life and like throw a towel or MMA. Like, look, man, you're not doing it right. Like I didn't have that really growing up. And once I went to group homes and things, like that changed the whole dynamic of my life. Like I could have been a bunch of things. But once you lose your innocence at that young of an age, I mean, all bets is off if you don't got the right mentors.
And how old were you when you started really getting into like a lot of trouble?
I mean, I was doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing at that age. But I could say the first time I went to juvenile hall was 9 years old. But before then, I had been to MAs. I mean, I had been to what's it called? The Sacramento Children's Receiving Home. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was there before I even had went to juvenile hall. I was in hospitals and things at a young age because of my behavior. So I could say it happened. It happened before the age of 10.
Mm. And that was your mom sending you to hospitals and stuff?
Unfortunately, like my mom couldn't control me. Like she couldn't control me, and God forbid I ever have a child that was anything like me, but she couldn't. And she did her best,
I was
is
gonna
what I'll
say,
say.
in a way, your mom's kind of ahead of the curve on the whole mental health thing.
Yeah, she's tried everything until like finally they locked me up, and it was like, I mean, shit. Now I'm gonna do my best to watch my curse words too. But my girl was just talking. She was like, "Your favorite word is that mother lover." so, I'm gonna try not to say it. But
Hey, it's all good. If it slips out, it's all good. We could bleep it out here.
yeah, but I'm gonna say after going to juvenile hall, there's a such thing called innocence, like a child innocence, and that innocence was lost going to juvenile hall for basically I lit a field on fire that's no longer there anymore. Like you familiar? You familiar with the area of Amherst and Meadowview?
A little. I know that Meadowview has like a lot of fields out there.
Okay, well, there's a Home Depot. There's a Home Depot right there. But there used to be a field, and that field was our club. We had clubhouses in this field, like
And now there's a
dugout
depot over
things.
it.
Now there's a Home Depot, Starbucks, Wendy's, Chevron. There's a whole bunch of you will never be able to tell there was a field there.
Yeah.
So every time I drive by, it's like, damn, like I really like my landmark is has been built over.
A lot of people can't even fathom like a 9-year-old being in juvenile hall. What do you remember what it was kind of like?
Yeah, I could say that the shoes didn't fit me, the pants didn't fit me, the shirts hung off of me like they hung off of me, drooped off of me, and I could say that because I had been to the hospitals and things at a young age, I juvenile hall was just like another big school to me. And I had a bunch of big brothers that looked out for me, and even the staff looked out for me because they couldn't fathom somebody that age being in there.
Yeah, so even they were surprised.
Even they were surprised. And I held the record for a long time until another guy came and hit somebody in the head or he hit his foster mom with a milk crate, and he was
I was
like
gonna
8
say some
years
other guy
old.
came on. He was like,
Yeah, took that, but I didn't realize I mean, I didn't realize the damage that being locked up at that young of an age. There's no way I could have realized the damage that it was gonna cause to
yeah,
my
I mean, nobody could at
life.
9 years old.
Yeah, because I believe if they would have, there's things that should have been in place to derail that type of direction. Because I was on the highway to hell, as they say, at a young age, and I wish that there was somebody there to blow the whistle and say, I've seen this many, many times. We need this type of help for this person.
And how long ago was that? What do you know, like 40 something?
43.
Wow, so that was like 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah, indeed.
So tell
Actually,
me a
no,
little.
that's more than that. About 33.
That's why I said 30 some odd. But let's talk a little bit about when you were like incarcerated as an adult, kind of before everything before the 60 days in kind of went down.
You kind of have to be a little more specific as to like character being locked up, the type of person I was being locked up,
Yeah. So
where I
like,
was locked
what
up.
was the longest bid you've done, like as far as being incarcerated?
17 years.
Dang. 17 years, that's like a whole childhood, man. Except you weren't a
A
child.
whole, a whole childhood and a half.
But dude, how
So,
how was it? Were you in local institutions, places out here near Sacramento?
I was in Salinas Valley first. And then from Salinas Valley, like I was in Salinas Valley, I pushed up to that yard 18 years old.
Dang.
Really, I turned 18. I turned 18 in juvenile hall and then went to the county jail, of course, and then fought my charges. And then from there, went to the prison, and I was still 18 with no hair on my face.
Dang. And were those for the robbery and arson and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. No. The arson was 9 years old.
Yeah, that was
The
that was 9 years old.
Yeah,
But
what happened is like I ended up thinking that it was okay to just take there was something wrong, and I don't want to glorify my teenage years at all, because I can
Oh
clearly
yeah, I
see that
mean,
I can
shit's
clearly
evolving
see
well
that
with
there was
age.
man, I can clearly see that there was something wrong with me from before 10 years old, that era, to the teenage years. Like there was something wrong with me, and there was nothing that anybody could do to stop me other than to lock me up.
So when you were
And
locked up
so
at 18, was that kind of like a wake up call? Like you said, you already knew that you were doing something wrong, but was that like, damn, like,
it had to be a wake up call. It had to be seeing my mother, fall out in the Sacramento County Jail court because her oldest son is going away for a long time. And as a parent feeling that you did everything that you could do, and by giving, sometimes love ain't enough. Sometimes the love that you give your kid ain't enough. Sometimes you got to go the extra mile to try to derail. And that's one of my motivations for giving back to the community, and for my aspirations, because God forbid, I feel like I did enough time for everybody around me to know what and what not to do. I don't want to come on here and be like, this is my life, it's a movie, and follow my footsteps. Hell no. I wouldn't want nobody to go through what I went through. And
you went through it, so nobody else has to go through it.
yes, like I've almost been killed. I've almost been thrown over tears. I've been attacked. I've been, man, I went through false allegations from police. Like I've watched my family members die in there. Like it's I wouldn't wish that stuff on my worst enemy. I'm
So
proud. I'm proud though to still to be in my neighborhood right now, living in my neighborhood, and because I was gone from my neighborhood for so long, this is my time to give back. And one of the most important things that you can give is your time, because that's something that you can't get back. Like when I talk about my childhood and stuff and my upbringing, I'll be feeling convicted because that's not who I am now. So I'll be feeling like, why am I talking about this? Am I glorifying this? But I understand people want a story. And just like you said earlier, people been said, have you ever considered writing a movie or writing a book? And that's one of the things I did in there is write books. I write books I wrote books and educated myself on what type of person I was gonna be when I came home.
and are you surprised that you came back to Del Paso Heights and that, I mean, you're living pretty good right now.
I think that everything comes full circle. And one thing about me is I always knew where I was from. I'm from Del Paso Heights. I always knew that no matter where I moved, no matter what circumstances I was faced, what prison I've been to, I knew I was from Del Paso Heights. That's where my family from. That's where I was born, and that's where I continue to say. So everything comes full circle, and it just so happens that I came full circle and I'm right back where I started. And I'm proud of it, but this time I'm gonna do things different. Like I robbed myself of the chance to give back to the community the first times as a child, because I was a child. But now as an adult, it's time to make a difference. And especially right now with all this violence going on in my neighborhood, is like it's a calling. Like it's a calling. I mean, I could see famous historic people in the past that have given their lives to causes, and I understood I understood what it's like giving yourself to something bigger than you, and
Yeah.
this is what this is.
And we're talking about coming full circle. Let's talk about how you got into 60 Days In. It's crazy how big that show is.
That's the number one cable TV drama series, is from what I seen.
Yeah, no, I was
But
looking at those numbers. They're pretty good.
yeah. That's
But
that's
how'd you
A
get
and
into
E.
that, man? How'd you get into that?
First off, let's go back a little bit. I was on
Yeah,
divorce
let's back up.
court. I was on divorce court. I was on Steve Wilkos, and I got into them by just Craigslist ads and just telling my story. When you got a story, you got a story. There's There's no way around that. And it comes out as you tell it, like, whoa, like you did what? You met who, how, on cell phones in prison type stuff. So
That's a hustle.
yeah, so after them two shows, and then I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy called Big Herc Fresh Out.
Oh yeah, he's from Sacramento too, isn't he?
Yes, and I interviewed on his channel as well.
Yeah, I gotta check
So
that out. He's one of the OGs.
yeah, all you gotta do is Google Young Dirt, Big Herc Fresh Out. I think it's done like over 500,000 views or something. But coming home, so here's what happened. Like after I came home in 2018, I had a plan because I went back and went back for like 22 months or something like that. So I
Mhm.
basically got a tune up, a life tune up. Like I was out here for 3 years, and this is what it led me back to. It led me back to this Folsom prison cell. And I had already, like I said, I was in Folsom from 2006 to 2010. So to come back to 2017 was like a real wake up call. Like, why? What did I do wrong? What led me back to this cell with these bars and with the width that I could touch each side of this wall? Like, what led me back to this six
Did you
by
see any
ten?
familiar faces?
That was the hard part. That was the hard, messed up part. Seeing these familiar faces
Yeah.
of people that believed in me, and seeing the disappointment in their face and knowing that this is real disappointment. I'm talking about where people were so hurt that they see you again and they just want that chance because most of them have life sentences themselves. And to see me just come home and squander it, and they believe like I was one of the different ones, man, that hit home. It hit home. It hit my stomach. It hit my innards in a different way to where I had said, look, it's a reason God sent me back here. Let me bunker down and fix these problems. And what it was is, and this is deep. You probably can edit it out or whatever, but this is deep.
No,
Uh,
we still got 10 minutes until this says that I gotta upgrade to the little pro. But now we got like 10 minutes left.
One of the things that I had was when I first came home in 2013 was I thought I was gonna be a rapper. Like I really thought I was gonna be the hardest rapper ever. But what happens is when you in like a bad relationship, like things happen to that sacrifice your dreams in a sense. Like she had a full scale attack on my vision. And by the time the third year or damn near the third year of being home was gone, so was my vision. But I luckily recorded a lot of music because that was what I thought I was gonna be. But
Mhm.
but to have my passion snatched from me, it was like being naked almost. Like once you lose your passion, that's why I tell anybody if you got a passion, see it through. See it through if you have a passion. And so mine was snatched. So in the process of it being snatched, I went back to prison. And that's where I got my tune up and I came out with a vision. And my vision was to start my YouTube channel, Dirty Weather 916, to provide an outlet for people that are coming home from prison that have a voice. Because a lot of people in prison, I'm telling you, there's some of the most gifted, charismatic characters in there that are so funny or so moving, so impactful. But when they come home to this free world after doing 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, like I know people like this, they don't have a voice. They don't have a voice. It's like the California prison system seeks to put you in a box in there, and then when you come home, they want to put you in another box. But my thing was, look, I got a vision. Watch what I'm gonna do. All you gotta do is stick to it. And sure enough, after being home like 3 months is when I started being on TV. I started being on TV after 3 months because I had a vision and a plan. And so what I realized is that my passion before wasn't just taken, it was put on ice. I had to build a bigger platform. So then if I wanted to conjoin my passions, it's good. And so the people that come home that have voices, I'm like, look, my platform is your platform. Tell your story. And so I started a thing called the Weathercast, because you already know my dirty weather. So I had the Weathercast, and that was where I was interviewing homies that just come home and people with voices and letting them tell their story. Because a lot of stories is sad how a lot of stories is gonna go untold. Some great stories untold by sheer ignorance because they don't know how to get from point A to point B. Not saying I'm the smartest, I just knew A, B, and C. There's people that know A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all that. But I knew I could at least conquer A, B, and C. And if you look at my channel and go back, you're gonna see that I've had the calling to give back to the most impactful parts of my life. And after doing damn near 20 years in prison, like them was my comrades, them was my homies, them was my brothers. And I could never forget about them. And that's why I started my YouTube channel in the first place.
And we got about 5 minutes here, and I do want to touch on a little bit about how you got involved with 60 Days In, if you could talk just a little bit about that.
60 Days In, I'm gonna say that I saw an ad on Craigslist that said, if you have done a lot of time, we're starting a show. They didn't tell me what it was. They just said we're starting a show. And if you've done a lot of time, like we're interested in hearing your story.
They
And
basically
as
said, if your name's Dirty Weather, hit us up.
shit, I wish it was that easy. Because if it was that easy, everybody would do it. They change their name to Dirty Weather and jump on. Nah, but nah, it was really a process. Like it was really a process of learning who I am as a person, because I had to go through psychological evaluations, everything to be on this show. And at the end of the day, I'm probably one of the most unlikeliest of people to be on that show. And I've got calls from prison from my folks like, man, we're proud of you. Everybody because I know I wasn't an introvert. Well, I wasn't an introvert. What's the person that
Extrovert.
yeah, I was friendly. I had friends. I had white friends, black friends, brown friends, green friends. I had all type of friends. So I wasn't one of them people that was unapproachable. Throughout my tenure in there, I mean, I got it's a lot of people. It's a lot of prisons that have cable TV, and
Oh,
so
especially nowadays, man.
yeah, a lot of prisons got cable TVs and tablets. You know, they got tablets that they give to the inmates now
I didn't know that. Nah.
with free phone calls.
Ooh.
It used to be they had to go on the wall and but now them phones on the wall is free. When I say wall, I mean like a regular phone thing.
Yeah, like a
But
little.
yeah, that's free. But they give you tablets in your cell that are free too. So yeah, I get calls from a lot
They
of
got it made
folks.
in there.
Yeah, oh well, shoot, I wish they had it when I was there,
I know, right?
but yeah, but there's a lot of people that are proud of me, and I put them on my shoulders, and I don't know where experience is gonna lead. I know that I've been given a responsibility to handle it.
Well, it's exciting. How many episodes are left to air, man?
I think it's probably about like probably
Yeah,
like
that's super
six,
exciting.
seven.
That means there's still more to come, man. That means opportunities are gonna keep rolling in, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so my nonprofit. Let me back up because it's not my nonprofit.
Yeah.
My fiance, my fiance, future wife, Adrena, she started this. That started Alternative Life Solutions nonprofit, and so when I came home, when I met her, I had only been home probably like a year. But when I met her, she had a vision, and I tapped into it, and ever since then we've been putting our feet on the streets, and that's what the name of the movement is, feet on the streets. Like you can't do nothing if you in the house, so you got to put your feet on the streets to make a difference. And shout out to Starbucks, Save Mart, Food Max, just to name a few people that donate to what we do when we go out into these communities or to these spots by the freeway or the levees and things, and really go out there. We're not putting our feet on the streets, we putting our feet on the dirt too, and going back there and meeting people. You know, it's not all about giving money though. It's about giving your time and giving your resources. So anybody that needs like help or wants to help, just Google alternative life solutions. And also, like in this community in Del Paso Heights, there's another group called Brother to Brother,
Oh,
Brother
we
to
cover
Brother.
brother to brother all the time, man.
Right. And starting Monday is I'm gonna be donating my time to Brother to Brother. So if anybody want to meet me or whatever, you all you gotta do is Google Brother to Brother, Google Merv Brookins, and man, we doing good things, and I can't wait to be indoctrinated as a part of it, because the way life works is I was with Brother to Brother early on when I first came home years ago, but it wasn't time. Everything is about timing. So right now it's time, and I look so forward to giving my time back to these kids that at first I might have felt like I wasn't the best example, but now, being on the moves that I done made and my heart in general, I look forward to giving back to this community that I love so much, that's tattooed on me.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it doesn't cut us off. It looks like there's less than a minute left. But we're gonna have all your socials down in the description and your socials over in the web store as well. And your
Yes.
Dirty Weather 916.
Dirty Weather 916 on YouTube. Right now it's Clydell though. Clydell, aka Dirty Weather.
Hey, for sure, man.